that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that.
All right. It is your girl, Nessa. Let me make sure. Guys, I got a new setup, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be a podcaster. No. Hold on. It's going to take me some time to kind of like adjust to this. And if you guys are watching, please let me know if I sound a little weird. This is my first day using it, and it picks up everything. So I'm trying to be quiet as a mouse. But let's see. So, today or tonight, actually, I really had to do this one at night because it is a lot going on with this one. This is like a rated R. These kids was not playing. They were extremely transparent, and they pretty much decided to speak their piece about who they truly are. We are constantly thinking for them, constantly always thinking that we have the solutions. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt majority of the time when it comes to making decisions and choices of their own. And this right here just shows a lot. Like, you can know that you have a great child You can know that you raised them the right way. You can know all of this in the bottom of your heart, but there are still experiences, there are still feelings that they struggle with. It's probably still a miscommunication. So this just shows it. And you know what? My mic don't sound as good as it did when I was testing it. So let me get this right. You know, that's what happens when you're trying to be fancy. So I do have some people that I hope jump on whenever they want. They can just come in on a certain question, whatever it may be. If they feel that they want to discuss one of the topics, anything. It's not about just having stable guests. It's about freestyling. It's about, like, when you go like to a jam session and then somebody might jump up on stage. That's what this is. All right. So if you are watching, uh I think that you'll probably want to get on this one for real tonight. But before I continue, I am going to let you hear the theme song while I try to see about my little technical difficulties, and then I'll get right back to you. And I see I got some comments. Thank you. I'll be checking those soon as I get back. But this microphone on my end does not sound right. And I am on YouTube as well as Facebook tonight. So and we got a long, like, it's not even a long night. It's only 3 clips tonight, but they are very, very raw clips. And like I said, this is definitely past PG-13. So if you are somebody that um, feels feel uncomfortable hearing what these young teenagers are discussing, this one is not for you. But I do appreciate you at least trying. All right. So give me a second. Let me check this mic and I'll jump back on. But for now, I want y'all to listen to This Is Insane, my coming out music. Hey, one second.
If you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. If you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. If you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that. If you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that.
All right, guys. Listen, I couldn't find the issue, but I feel like I sound a little better. But I guess, this is the show with my first mic set up. I set everything up myself. Listen, I'm trying to be a producer. I'm trying to do this. So uh, we'll just work it out and I'll just figure it out. Okay. But thank you so much for bearing with me. Let's see what's going on with the comments real fast. Hey, what's up, Scuzz? Thank you so much. Oh, you said it sounds great. All right. Okay, I'm excited now. Thank you, cuz I appreciate it. I don't know. I should have just looked first. I know one of my family members will be out there at least making sure I'm straight. Thank you, hon. All right, so let's go on and get on with the get on, okay? Now I'm gonna tell y'all this. Once again, there's a disclaimer. The disclaimer is if you are not ready for some of the stuff that these kids discuss, then I don't think that you want to be on here tonight. But if you are really interested in finding out what we can do as millennial, well, I'm not a millennial, but millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, every generation, what we can do to try to make sure that this next generation create a better world, a better country. We need to know where how they feel deep inside. And this social experiment that I have to give credit to Spectrum, who does a lot of social experimentation videos, as well as Jubilee. And I watch them a lot, even before I, tried to like do my own shows or whatever. I watch them a lot, and I am going to start reacting to a lot of their shows. So also because I couldn't distort these videos this week, um, I'm gonna have to like just so I won't get any, like copyright situations or nothing like that. I'm gonna have to kind of like pause the video a little more than usual for tonight. And also there are some keywords that I might use instead of porn. I may say flicks, um, because that was used a lot in the videos, and I don't want YouTube to pick up a lot of that and me saying that word a lot. So anybody you know that means flicks, whoever, know what porn is. Okay. All right. So if you are out there and I have given you the link and you are interested in joining tonight, and majority of the people I gave the link to are supporters who I know would probably come in, or some of them are in different time zones. So I do respect that. And if you just want to be in the comments and kind of chime in and give your opinions and, suggestions, I appreciate that as well. But either or, thanks for joining. Okay. Whew. All right. So what we gonna do is we gonna get to this first video, which is I'm going from 0 to 100. So this one is 0. This is really a good video, more about the kind of figuring out. These are very soft questions, and I kind of like the experiment, the way they experimented with this. And I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to I'm a kind of nervous because this these videos have me in my feelings too, just to know that, you know, these like the things that a lot of these teenagers go through and they don't want to tell like their family. So we shall begin.
Had kid, I'm like, wow, what job is he gonna have? He knows more about like, scrolling to the next video than like anything that will help him get a job.
High schoolers are kids. 3, 2, 1.
I feel like to say high schoolers in general are kids is almost like defeating the people who are in the minority. Like for people like me who have grown up more just mature for my age and I guess fitting more an adult mindset, I feel like I can't say for myself that I'm a kid because I definitely make adult decisions time and time again. I mean, there are people who still have the mindset of kids, but I can't say high schoolers in general are kids.
I feel like with high school, it's such a broad statement to say high schoolers because there's a giant difference between a freshman and a senior. Like it is, that's why like when they try to date each other, it's like, why is that 18-year-old trying to date the 14-year-old? Like it just doesn't make sense. I feel like it would be naive to ignore the fact that like, especially anyone who's a senior, they're about to be a legal adult.
I think kids need mentoring. That's how I see it. I mean, adults too need mentoring, but I think kids need that extra help and that extra push. I've seen many kids who have been forced to be older or act older as they are, to mature faster. That's why I went for agree.
I want to move.
You want to move? Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I
Talk
don't
us
know if I
through.
could.
What are you thinking?
Well, I agree. I feel like there's just so many decisions, especially in high school, that we have to make that are not like kid-like, and they expect us to act a certain way. And also like the fact that we're even able to drive, how should we still be considered a kid?
Do you mind if I move? Yeah. I moved because I feel like, especially at that 16 to 18 age, you're constantly planning for your future where it's actually difficult to live in your childhood. It's just kind of, you're unable to live as a child. So it's like, how can you consider yourself one when you're constantly planning for your adult life and future?
When I was a freshman, all the teachers around me always told me I needed to prepare for my future. And I feel like, especially coming after online school and quarantine, I'm still living in that middle schooler mindset. I'm still basically like a kid living and preparing for my future, which I'm clearly not ready for.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right here because remember I told you that I don't want, any problems with the videos, and I didn't distort this or recreate it in any kind of way, so I need to just kind of stop it. But I'm gonna stop on key moments and key points, and if you guys have anything you want to share in the comments, um, I'm down. I'm down to have this conversation with you. One of the things is just like the young lady who said, her mind, she still feels like a middle schooler, but she also has the struggles. That's the struggle right there. She has a fully developed body, and a lot of these teens are growing up fast, so she's around a lot of young people that is growing up fast, but in her mind and heart, she still has a middle school mentality. And this is where adultification comes in, where they're trying to like legalize uh young men and young girls that's 16 years old to be able to make adult choices when it comes to being with older men, and this is a real thing, and they trying it in California, which that's a whole different conversation. But I really feel like that the way that this world is going, they're looking at these kids growing up faster on the outside, but not understanding that they still babies on the inside, and that's a problem. Okay, let's continue.
I feel like kid is kind of a weird word. So like it's just kid and adult. And I feel like in high school, I kind of want to be thought of as a kid because it's kind of like, oh, he's a kid, right? It's like an excuse almost. Like you're allowed to mess up. I really can't like look at my classes full of 18-year-olds and say, these are adults. Like I feel like now it's later and later we're turning into adults. I don't feel like we turn in, I mean, of course there's people that have to pay bills at 16, but to say a high schooler is an adult, I feel like I like to know that I can grow so much more from that. Like, oh, I did that when I was a kid, not, as an adult.
Today's high schoolers have it harder than previous generations. 3, 2, 1, go.
I feel like now, our generation, we have more resources for help that we need, And way back then, like mental health, that was like, they would put you straight to camp or like some conversion, stuff like that. But I feel like now there's just more resources. We have the internet, we have the media. Like, would you have wanted to send a pigeon to your friend instead of texting your friend, stuff like that? Like, would you want to have, we just have it easier now.
I feel like it's an in-between thing because I feel like social situations now are much better, but back then they were much worse. I feel like there was racism, teachers could beat their own kids, and I feel like now there's so much things that we cannot do, and I feel like it's for the better.
Can I move?
When I think about this question, I kind of went to bullying and how much easier it is to get bullied nowadays, especially on social media. Because it's so easy to hide behind a screen, people say worse things. And I think that mental health, maybe it was just as bad back in the day, but because of social media, it's become more prominent and we see it everywhere. Another thing that I also thought about was you guys say that we have more resources, but don't you? Well, you don't have to agree, but I feel that the resources have kind of made us a little less smart because we're able to look up that, the answers to our test or I don't know, everything's just so much more accessible that I'm not really learning as much as my mom and dad did.
Okay, let's stop it here. This is a mic drop because this is something that I have been saying for a long time about social media, about how easy information is, and it could be a gift and a curse. It could be bittersweet. And this is a teenage girl that's saying this. She is smart enough to see how it affects her knowledge of things and how she retains information. And that is absolutely correct. The easier information is available to you, the quicker you can get it, it does something to your patience. It does something to you being able to retain a large amount of information that comes from a book that you've read. Like, it's just I don't I feel like there should be some type of balance. Um, but I feel like that comes from, the household too, but it also stems from school because now a lot of schools are going extremely smart with everything when they should continue to balance the books versus technology, the books as well as technology, and kind of teach a rhythm or kind of teach just like a systematic approach to being able to understand that this will help you succeed more if you sometimes pick up a newspaper or a book. And I know newspapers are extinct, but I still have a subscription to a magazine and different things like that. But just kind of also want to read, not just virtually read, but also read. Well, I mean, if you're on a tablet or something, that's fine, but there need to be some balance. And this is coming from a young woman. This is not coming from an adult. This is coming from a teenager that's actually saying this.
So I kind of sad that all our resources are so much more accessible.
Yeah, I know some dumb, people they're like, is it hot outside? And then they'll go to their phone and check the weather. Just go outside,
I feel
Right.
like school right now is so easy for our generation. Like, it is so incredibly easy. Like, especially now that I'm in senior year, I mean, I'm not taking incredibly hard classes, but like, they don't even give you homework because they know you won't do it. Yeah. Like, it's like, they would rather have you pass than like teach you something. And like, the amount of kids that held back is like nothing. Like, it's just, oh, keep going ahead, go ahead, go ahead. And so like, seeing like classrooms from like older generations, it seems like, oh, they're like learning, there's more respect to the teachers. Now like there's like such little discipline that every class is just like a muck.
I feel like just because things are easier does not mean it's better. My friend goes to college in San Diego, and there's literally a group chat for people in a nursing major just to cheat on the work. And if we're having nurses that don't even know how to like give you medicine, stuff like that,
Right.
it's scary.
I did want to hit on how the pandemic impacted you guys.
Yeah, I think it did impact our generation. I know personally, I was always so great at talking growing up, and then going into coronavirus, not really like talking to my friends a bunch and like being kind of like antisocial and to myself. Coming out and having to talk to adults was like terrifying. I didn't want to do it at all. I couldn't even talk to like my peers.
When I went back to school, I felt like I was still in 8th grade in middle school. So it was very hard for me to adjust. And this was definitely like the biggest change like that affected our generation, if you think about it. You know, we didn't deal with the bubonic plague or a big, you know, stuff like that. Like this was the biggest impact. And I remember going back to school, I was so anxious. Like I would take half a Xanax, you know, almost every morning because it was so bad.
There was this day where we can finally take off our mask, and it was so.
Okay, hold on. Did you hear her say that she Xanax? Said it comfortably, and she said it effortlessly, and this a lot of adults, a lot of parents don't know these kids, and they underground doing pills and different things like that to just try to cope with this new society, especially after the pandemic.
So weird saying everyone, but I never knew what to do with my face. It was just crazy.
I feel ready to explore my sexuality. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't know what that means. What is like dating and stuff?
I knew I was gay at a very young age. So I've kind of always been ready or kind of always known. Like I was over here at like 6 years old, like looking at a TV screen and there's like a boy and I was like, he's cute. Like, I was like, yeah, I already knew. So like, I feel like it just depends what you determine what exploring your sexuality is, because at least in my book, I feel like I've already labeled it and I'm already confident and happy with who I am.
Now it's very normal to explore yourself. And I think even just like having sex, it's very, very naive for any adult or anyone to ignore the fact that like people are gonna do that. Like it's or people around you are gonna do that. They're gonna talk about it, or you're gonna see it on TV and with the internet. Like we have access to everything these days. No one is judged like for waiting or wanting to try stuff, as long as everyone's being safe, as long as it's consensual, as long as you're okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
I also grew up in a very private Christian school. It was very like, it was like a bubble, you know, and you know, we didn't talk about all that stuff, but now I attend a high school where we actually have wellness classes. Also, social media helps. Those random accounts on my For You page, they're like, how to kiss a boy or something like that. I don't even know.
What is it, WikiHow?
WikiHow, sure. Like, there's just so many courses, you know, that's why you gotta seek them out and find a support system.
It's kind of like for our whole generation happening earlier and earlier, like where we get introduced to it with like the internet and stuff. I kind of like it to be delayed. I kind of like to be a kid for as long as I can.
But do you feel like people don't take you seriously if you continue?
The guy
to,
in the yellow
you know,
shirt,
younger
probably
and,
a
like,
virgin,
wanna be
which is
younger?
actually
in
good
the sense of
his
like
age.
this question, like sexuality, like I feel like I'd rather, because right now it's like most of the pressure is just like, oh, I feel like I'm so behind because I haven't done this, and this yet, when it should be so normal.
It's important that we do educate ourselves on these topics, because once we're older, if we aren't, that could take a turn for the worse. I feel like approaching it naturally or in a professional way, like in terms of like school, if they're providing like health classes, I think that's just the best way to go about it. And I completely agree with you. Like I was also exposed to nasty on the internet, and like no one wants to go through that.
I don't think that the school should do it because I think it's really weird. You know, I can never stop laughing personally. Like when I'm in a sixth grader and they say the word scrotum, how are you not supposed to like laugh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more of a personal endeavor, but I guess not everyone's as smart as me, but.
Okay, he said not everybody is smart as him. I ain't mad at him. Um, do you guys think that schools should teach sex ed? I'm kind of with him because I don't remember anything about what I was taught in school about it. And honestly, I wasn't even taught, unfortunately. Like I didn't have a sit down. It just all was through experience and, unfortunately, like just said. But I think that more parents should be involved in having those talks and having those conversations and not being a helicopter parent, but kind of monitoring or kind of knowing uh, when, they need to step in and just check on their child and say, hey, you good? You still straight, you ain't did nothing yet, huh? Or, even make it fun, make it easy for the parent to communicate. I mean, the parent hopefully can make it easy so that they can communicate with their child. But I would be a cool mom, okay? I'm telling you, no. I'll be a cool, strict mom. Everybody know I'll be strict for sure. All right, let's continue.
I feel like personally, I'd just like to find that out on my own and maybe be encouraged by the school, but I don't like the classroom. Let's learn about sex all sitting together as a bunch of teenagers. Like that's awful. That's like the worst thing ever.
I feel safe at school. 3, 2, 1, go.
My campus security are amazing. They have a personal relationship with all the students. I've had bomb threats at my school. I've had like shootings literally walking distance down the street where the school had to go on lockdown. It's unfortunate, but also like it just makes me really aware. Like for every classroom, I have what's my hide plan? Who are my people? I don't feel comfortable putting my phone in the phone chart because if something happens, I want to text my family. And that's why COVID like lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders because I didn't have to worry about that all the time. Also, like a lot of people at my school who have mental health struggles, I'm always afraid that like someone won't be properly treated for that and then they'll just snap one day, you know?
My school has had multiple sexual assault scandals. Like my history teacher right now, my world history teacher, if it weren't for the current sub, it would be with basically a pedophile. So it's scary. And when she mentioned like the bomb, I remember last year someone created an account with our school name and it was like shooting or something on this day and our school ended up canceling school for that day and it was horrible.
I feel so fortunate to have grown up in a really privileged area where there's not a lot of violence. However, I feel like I'd be ignorant to say that a school shooting would never happen because all it takes is one kid out of the 2,500 students that I have to take a gun to school and shoot people. And I feel like there's so many different openings on my campus where that could happen.
We have gates, but it honestly looks like a prison.
Okay, yeah, that's me
I
too.
won't lie. We have security guards. They're not armed, which was a conversation that came up. Should our security guards be armed? And another conversation came up, should our teachers be armed? You know, there's just topics like that. I remember this was actually recently, one of the old students at the college threatened to shoot up the whole school. And so even we had to go remote. So it's just like, never feel safe.
My social media presence is important to me. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't particularly post, like maybe just my story, you know, but like I'm not like
Wow,
constantly
you can
posting.
see
And
the
if you do,
difference.
that's perfectly fine. Like that's a lot of people's outlets and especially creativity.
I don't own a single social media and like not as like a flex. I'm just saying like I hate the presence of an app in my mind. Like, oh, you should do this. Like it's an app on my phone. Like I don't want to give it any part of my life. So I'd just rather not have it.
I think sometimes with social media nowadays, it also can fall into career, which is really weird, but that's like what I do. It's like, oh, I can't post that picture of me like flipping off the camera with my friends because like a college or a future boss, because your digital footprint is so real. But I also I love having social media. Like I've had it for years. I've always like tried to ground myself and realize that it's just for fun. It's not that serious.
There are some people who I know who have like shown or done some really crazy stuff and it's spread everywhere. Like there's some things I do not need to know and people just tell me. Like on Instagram there's like close friends and there's like normal story and I post on close friends so much more than I do on my normal story.
Or like a spam account.
Yeah,
I post on my spam account like way more.
A couple years ago, I would have been right there, like on the strongly agree, you know, like, because when I moved to the new school, a lot of people were like, oh, how many followers do you have? If you had over 1,000, it's like, yo, you got clout, like you're good. Digital footprint, that is no joke. Like everything you post will come back at you. I'm so glad Instagram took off that feature where you could see what other people liked. Do y'all remember that? That was ridiculous.
That's why I'm very aware of what I post. I make sure this is what I want everyone to see.
And yet when
me
you're,
as.
I'm so sorry. When you're a kid, like you want social media, like when you first find out about it, like when I was 9 years old, I was like begging my mom to let me have Instagram. And now like I'm even embarrassed of like the little like selfies I would post because like they're so stupid. So like looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I would totally never let like my 7-year-old on social media, like, you know, things like that. But I actually did have social media very young.
Yeah, me too.
I got Twitter when I was 6. My mom made it and managed it, but I would still like.
Hold on. Did she say she had a Twitter at 6? Child, I got a Twitter. I still don't understand how to operate that Twitter. She had a Twitter at 6. And it's so funny because everybody's like, girl, you still on Facebook? They said Facebook is for the grandmas. I was like, well, I like Facebook. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I connect with a lot of people on Facebook, but teenagers do not use Facebook. I don't know. They know something we don't know, I guess, child. But okay, Twitter at 6.
Like I would tweet about like my little kindergarten like crushes.
You like having your mom
Kindergarten
like, to
crushes.
like guide like the account. I feel like I didn't have that, unfortunately. So I feel like it just depends. Like your digital footprint could be much more harmful like when you don't have parents that know how to handle social media or know how to prevent it. Because my parents, they've never used social media. They don't have a single account. So growing up like begging, I don't think they knew the harmfulness of it. And I don't blame them for that at all, but I feel like that's what led to me being exposed to a lot of stuff. So I feel like definitely with the new generation, and if, I don't know if I'll have kids, but if I do, they're not on social media, at least for me.
When those iPad kids, I mean, those kids who use iPads, it's
My
so
sister's an iPad kid.
addicting. It's so addicting, and you need parental controls because social media is crazy. Like, or having your parents run the account, regardless, it's just that's so important.
Or even having influencers like Andrew Tate who are like influencing these like
Right.
little boys to think that that mentality is like normal.
Yeah.
I feel like social media has drastically altered my personality, especially during COVID. And I feel like if it could change me that much, just imagine a 6-year-old having access to a phone for their basically entire childhood. But like, honestly, I got so sensitive.
Sorry. That's a mic drop. Mic drop activity. What he just said about how social media influenced him, and it sounded like he was saying probably negatively in some aspects. And he said, just imagine what it's doing to these 6-year-olds who is now starting to be on it and that stay on their phones all day. The younger, the younger, the younger. The more technology, the less connection that you have to human connection when it comes to physical hugging or walking past somebody and saying hi because you got your head down. Okay, sorry. I'm trying not to rant.
To being in front of camera that I feel like I kind of forgot about digital footprint and stuff like that.
I have hope for the future. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't know, man. Seeing an iPad kid, I'm like, wow, what job is he gonna have? You know, I mean, he knows more about like scrolling to the next video than like anything that like will help him get a job. I don't know. I don't feel like I have very much hope for our and the next generations, as like I feel we keep getting like the younger generations kept getting like profited on and like abused almost.
When I heard this question, I kind of thought about like social justice and like the issues that we're experiencing right now. Like there can be a change. And I just really don't think that people back in the day were seeing that type of change. Everything was just thrown kind of under the rug, not really spoken about.
I still love to dream like, oh, I would love to achieve this one day, but even if I don't have that financial capability, I still have hope. I hope I could get there one day, and I still try to remain positive.
Everyone's goal at the end of the day is just to be happy in what they're doing and make a difference in either your own or someone's life. And I think like just by having this discussion, like there's so much hope for everyone in here to go on and be successful in that, no matter what it is. So I have a lot of hope for the future, and I'm really excited, even though I'm nervous and I'm anxious about a lot of it, I'm really excited to see like in my personal life, like what that means for me. Because I know I'm never gonna stop until I'm happy with what I'm doing.
I mean, I feel really grateful for our generation because a lot of us are very open-minded to having these types of conversations, whether or not it relates to us or exists in our nature. But I feel like people are so open to change now, and I feel like that's just great moving forward. And I feel like a lot of us Gen Z people have gone through such traumatic and bad experiences that we're gonna become amazing parents one day.
Like, I think I remember, like, during quarantine, there was, like, a sign in New York that said we had, like, this many years left and before our world, like, ends or something. And my sister is an iPad kid, and I've seen how she is. And it's like, I want to say I have hope for the future, but just based off what I'm seeing, it feels like there's no change, kind of.
Okay, we're going to end it on what her note and her saying that she feels like she doesn't see a change. And majority of the teenagers, the teens, had some questions about what they see in the future. Not questions, but they kind of are pondering on what that future would look like. And that's not good. That says a lot. And that is why this last segment for the episode, I made sure to um, dig deep into getting some video clips that show teens able to be transparent and speak their mind. Now, these next two is going to be a little darker, and they are going to hide their faces as they speak. And you guys, your mouth gonna be wide open if you out there watching, because I was just like, you kidding me? Like, this is actually going on. Um, just the whole situation with um, of course, teenagers. That's when you kind of start to have feelings, different feelings about different things. You want to kind of experience sex. You want to smoke your first cigarette or smoke a, some weed or something like that. And those are when your hormones are starting to jump. I guess that's the word. That's the slang terminology for it. But at the end of the day, it just it just have to be checked. Like, it's so much out there. I'm gonna say America is so sexualized. I can't speak for any other country or anything like that, but I know that we are. And it is a strong influence on our kids to see so much stuff in their face when it comes to that. Give me a second, please. Okay, sorry about that. So we're going to get to the next video clip. This social experiment clip is, I'm going to do the young girls first.
In an age of call-outs, culture wars, and perfect
They made sure to
facades,
put a
people can be
disclaimer
afraid
on
to
here.
express how they really feel. So we brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and asked them all 7 burning audience questions. What will be revealed when we take the mask off?
If the answer is yes, you will flip on your light. I watch porn.
Yeah, I do. I don't think I've like ever talked about it with anyone because it's like, I mean, it's not just something you casually bring up like, oh yeah, see that one thing? Yeah, me too. I don't really talk about it, but I started talking about it like, you know, during quarantine, me and my friends, like it was like day like 5,000 of quarantine and we were like, do you guys watch porn? And then we all just said, yeah, and we're all girls. Like, it's just like, we might never see daylight again, might as well like tell each other like our deepest, darkest secrets. Yeah, we watch porn. And like, since I'm in a relationship, I don't really watch it that much now. I mean, like, when I do watch it, it's just for educational purposes.
I'm gonna bring everyone else in the conversation now.
And I forgot to mention that the voices are distorted, but these are all young women. But the voices are distorted so that, you know, you can't recognize them.
I feel like the whole concept of it is kind of corrupt and it's kind of like objectifying women. If men go to, or women go to like the site and they're just seeing pornography, it's kind of like this idea that women are just objects because it's for the male pleasure. I don't even see it as an educational purpose because it doesn't show what sex should really mean. Back in high school, it would be so annoying because anytime I would want to wear like nerd glasses for like my style, I would be called Mia Khalifa all the time. It's just ridiculous. Like, not every girl with brown hair or brown skin looks like Mia Khalifa. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think that hairy bodies are attractive?
Personally, me, I'm not really paying attention to like the body. I'm paying attention more to the person. And if you make me laugh, then that's really all I need. When I was a kid, I saw this ad for hair removal, and I saw this girl take off her hair on her arm, and I was like, no, it looks so pretty. I thought it was really pretty. And then growing up, I realized, oh, maybe it's not an attractive thing to society. So I started shaving it, and I guess now I'm like going back to what I originally thought when I was a kid. For me, I find it more cleanliness, to be clean and I guess have just no hair on your arms. It's not really a social thing, oh, because someone else is doing it, I'm doing it. It's more of a personal thing. To the like cleanliness thing, like I can say this because like also like person of color, like also that is something that was like pushed onto me as a Latina, like, oh, you have to be like perfect and you have to look this way because how else will men want you? Soap still exists. Like hair doesn't stop soap from cleaning you in any way. And if it grows on you, then that's like natural. And also like hair grows in specific places to keep it clean. Like your vagina and stuff like down there, hair grows down there to help keep it clean and to keep stuff out of it. Having hair doesn't mean you're not clean. It just means you gotta clean it.
I don't like the way I look.
Well, I've been getting better at it, like learning to like accept my body, like body neutrality, not positivity, body neutrality. Ever since I was like a young girl, I've always been like on the like chubbier side. I've recently been.
Okay, I stopped it because I just want to talk about how they be creating these different names. Now it's body neutrality. Okay, not body positivity, but body neutrality. Like it's always a different name with this generation, recreating names to make them feel good. Instead of saying positive, you're saying neutral. So you're like, you know, I just okay. No rant. I'm trying not to rant, but I had to stop it anyway for a minute.
Been diagnosed with PCOS, which basically makes it like I have more testosterone in my body than what is the like normal amount for like females or women. In the past like year or so, I've been doing like a lot better and like learning to accept myself, but I still like I'm not there yet. I looked up to usually white girls. That's kind of like, even now, like that's who usually get the hype on TikTok. And even on TV, I never really saw anyone who looked like me. I don't want to be white now, but I'm like, oh, I wonder what it would be like if I was white. For me, I have a birthmark on my face, and so that used to be like a really big insecurity. I remember people would make fun of me when I was little, and so my mom used to tell me like, don't feel like that because like you're so much more than just a beauty mark or a birthmark. I'm beautiful just like everybody else, and I have to accept the fact that we're not the same. Body changes, and that's just the way of life. You can't really outrun yourself. If you're going to be stuck with your body and your face and everything about yourself, then you might as well love it. I agree with you.
That's a really good mindset.
That's a really good
Probably try to implement
like
that
that's
more.
the goal.
Do your parents treat you differently because of your gender?
I mentioned earlier, like I come from a Hispanic household, Latino household. So that means if you are a woman, you are automatically a housemaid and a cook. My brother is not like a grown man, but he is in his 20s, 22. I'm only 17, and I get tossed a lot more of the housework ever since I was a child, but also emotional labor, where my mom has literally told me if something ever happens to her, then I have to help my stepdad take care of the house, not my 22-year-old brother. Me, the 17-year-old girl, when she told me the first time I was only 15, having this burden of having to take care of my home at such a young age was something that my brother has never had to face, at least not to the extent that I do.
I'm so sorry that you feel that way. Can I actually turn my one on? Okay. I don't think my parents do it intentionally, and I don't think any of my family does it intentionally, but when you said that all the girls clean at your family gatherings, that has really happened a lot. So whenever we're cleaning up, even if it's like Mother's Day, the women still plan it, they clean everything, and it's just kind of like an unspoken rule.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. This is how you know also that it's a different generation because traditionally it has always been like that. The men pay for everything and they probably grill, like they're grilling all the meats. The woman contacts everybody and sets everything up. And, it would be good for the man maybe to clean up, help out, clean up the outside, and if you're outside, and the woman clean up the inside. But if not, traditionally, usually the man also participates by grilling and giving the money. Now, that's just in, I know the Black American community, that's kind of how it is for traditional families. But what I was just trying to say is that you can tell we're in a more modern society because this is deemed as not right, or it just doesn't look right or feel right.
Hispanic as well, so there's definitely like the machismo in the culture. But in my family, we're just all girls except my dad. So we all like grew up like sharing roles. I never felt like a difference between my cousins that are males, because they also go to work and then they share like all the roles. So my parents like always instilled my dad washes dishes, my mom does too. So it was like always balanced out, and it never felt different.
I also grew up in a Hispanic household, and I could see the clear difference in how they treat the boys versus the girls, because every time there was a rape allegation, it was always, yeah, it's because she wore this. It was never, why did he do this? Why, like, they never questioned him. It was always, well, what does she do? So, growing up, I always felt an intense pressure on me to cover up and stay quiet about, what happened to me with my sexual assault case, because, I felt like they were going to blame me for it, even though I was 7 years old. I'm so sorry.
I'm really
sorry that
sorry.
happened.
Have you ever been in a toxic relationship?
Yeah, I definitely have. It was my last relationship. There was a lot of things he did that were just super disrespectful to me, and I didn't deserve.
Is
Don't go to
possible
6.
in my lifetime. Is possible in my
Gender
lifetime.
equality is possible in my lifetime.
And that's no one.
They're planning to take down Roe v. Wade. Like, we haven't even had that for, like, what is it? Not even a century. It seems like we're just going backwards, and who knows, because taking away Roe v. Wade is taking away the right to privacy, which can also go into things like right to privacy, which is the basis of the case for allowing gay people to get married, or even interracial marriages. All of those Supreme Court cases were based on privacy. Right now, it's a very scary time to just exist as any version of someone who has been oppressed. So I just don't think it's possible in the next lifetime. Personally, as a woman, as a Latina woman, if I have kids in the future, I will treat them all equally. And I know that's hard outside the world because there are norms, but I will teach my kids, you can be anything and anyone as long as you put your mind to it. I want to break, gender stereotypes.
If we want to spark change, it's our responsibility, just because we are the upcoming generation and we will be the next legislators and like Supreme Court justices. And I think we really do want to see any sort of change. Like, we do have, it's our responsibility, whether we like it or not.
I can't be honest about who I am.
When I was in middle school, being Muslim, I was really afraid to tell people I was Muslim because a lot of people would make terrorist jokes all the time, and I would get really embarrassed when my mom would pick me up and my grandma, who wears a hijab, would be sitting in the passenger seat, and then everybody would look at them and be like, oh, you're Muslim? I can't believe I thought that way, the things I would do to go back to that and see my grandma again. But sometimes I feel like I want to wear a headscarf outside, but I get scared that I'll get something thrown at me, and I don't know.
Okay, see, this is unfair and wrong. And this is something that just keep in mind that these are teenagers. And, her wanting to wear her hijab and being scared because she doesn't want something to get thrown at her. How does that sound in the land of the free? The land of the free. This is a teenager. All of these different things are impressionable. These things determine how she will see life moving on as an adult, how she will process things, how she will hold things in, her behavior toward Christians or anybody, just regular people or anybody that feels a certain way about who she is and how she was raised. It's unfair and it's wrong.
A fear of mine. And I know a lot of people, they don't experience that, but I also know some that do. I've been battling with mental illness. I am diagnosed with OCD, PTSD, anxiety, and I might get tested for bipolar, being bipolar. Growing up, I experienced 2 murders. I've experienced sexual assault. I grew up in South Los Angeles, which is a violent neighborhood, so I've seen a lot of
California.
dark shit. And I was sexually assaulted by my own uncle, and my family. They're right now trying to understand me, but they were, in denial. And a lot of my traumas really affected me. I would say OCD really has affected me because it affects my relationships, because a lot of people judge me when I tell them I have OCD. And one major thing that people don't understand about me is I find it gross if you had previous partners. And a lot of people think it's because I'm misogynistic. I don't know what's the word, but it's not that. I've talked to my psychiatrist about this, and she told me that it's the fear of contamination. I'm battling these inner, my disease or whatever you want to call it, but it's tiring living with OCD. It's just super damn hard.
Honestly, all of high school, I have been happy with who I am. I met my girlfriend. She also told me after I fell in love with her and everything, she told me that her family is really homophobic, but then she breaks the news they're homophobic to the point where I can't even surround myself with gay people. I love my girlfriend so much and I want to be around her. I literally had to go back into the closet. That's a really big shift for me because I'm out in 7th grade, and then senior year of high school, I'm shoved back in. And I know I should remove myself from this, but I really can't because I'm dating her and not her family. It just sucks hearing all that stuff, especially because my brother's trans and all of my siblings are literally part of the LGBTQ community. I know the easiest ways to break up with her, but she did nothing wrong. She's she's unlearning everything they taught her. I even went to her church and they talk about gay people too, and it's just sad. And I just think of her going through it alone, and she has to hear that too. It's not just me taking the hit, it's also her.
I'm sorry. I loved talking about different issues, especially since we're all around the same age. I thought it was really cool. I've never got to experience something like this.
I enjoyed it, feeling like we could talk about.
Okay, that's the end of the women, the young teens, the girls, social experiment or conversation that is transparent. Um, I'm glad that they have it where it's, they have a mask on, they change their voice. I was trying to play with my little sound card. I don't know if y'all heard my laughter. I was trying to do applause on one of them, but it messed up. However, hold on. Let's see. Let me do my sound changer. Let me see. Hold on. See if y'all. Oh my gosh, that's what I get. Wait a minute.
Hello. What up, though? Hey. Hey. Okay.
Okay, let me leave that thing alone. I'm gonna be listen, I'm like a kid right now. I'm about to be on this thing. I'm about to be trying to see what's on here. But I just want to give an applause to all of the kids, all of the teens for showing so much love by, pretty much um, sharing their heart, sharing their story. So this last one, before we get out of here, this is the teen boys, and when I say, child, woo, we thought the men was a mess. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop. They actually was able to do the same as the girls, and theirs is just very complicated, and this is what had my mind thinking like we have to do something. We have to help them in some kind of way, create more spaces for them to not just camps, but create like spaces for them to have safe spaces and kind of do it on this kind of level, but just kind of help them in healing processes. Like it just need to be more mental health organizations that come up with I don't like the word camp, but that come up with like group settings for ages of young kids that are at risk or that just want to kind of like get to know other kids and kind of walk and kind of talk through things. And I don't like a mental rehabilitation. you know the mind and the heart needs to change before anything else. Definitely the mind, you know so let's see what they talking about.
In an age of callouts, culture wars, and perfect facades, people can be afraid to express how they really feel. So we brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and asked them all 7 burning audience questions. What will be revealed when we take the mask off?
If the answer is yes, you will flip on your light. Do you watch porn?
It's accessible, and because it's accessible and it's there, people use it. I'm one of them.
I think most guys can agree that they have at least at some point watched it, and it's if you can enjoy it in a healthy way, if you can enjoy masturbating in a healthy way, I think then like by all means go for it. But
Yeah, I do watch porn. God. A lot of my teenage years, I spent a lot of time self-obsessing over it to the point where it kind of became an addiction. And it took until very recently to get out of the hole of, paying for porn. I do watch it, but I don't like that I watch it.
I'm gonna bring everyone else into the conversation.
Okay, he said he watches it, but he doesn't like to watch it. So that sounds kind of like he's close to becoming addicted.
I said no. I used to watch it a lot before. I would say I was addicted to it. My dad is in prison, so there was no one really for me to talk to about sex.
So porn was my education on sex.
From personal experience, it messed me up because after watching it so much, you know, I'm sure we've all been there where you're on page 5 and like nothing is right. Like you're looking for that right video, but your dopamine like receptors and everything is so messed up at this point that the same thing that would get you off wouldn't get you off anymore, right? I went so deep into it where I'm a straight man, I started watching trans porn because it was just erotic in a different way that I've never seen before. I needed more stimulation.
Okay. So he is constantly looking for that thrill, and he needs a higher thrill because everything else that's normal or everything else that he was watching doesn't do it for him anymore. So he is, I guess, a straight male, heterosexual male, but he watches trans porn.
Because of pornography.
Yes, because of pornography. So I don't think it's just entertainment. It actually affects with your brain and the way you perceive love.
Do you think that a lot of teenagers or teen boys are really educated on the effects of pornography?
No.
No, not at all. Have you ever cried in front of someone else?
Good question.
I wholeheartedly agree with the statement. I feel like it's easier to open up towards women, which is kind of embarrassing. Like, quite frankly, I feel like they understand emotions more because they really understand the whole crying. I mean, I feel like crying is sort of normal to them, and they see of it as like a way to express themselves.
It's interesting that you said that you're more comfortable to cry in front of women. I had a girlfriend and she broke up with me over text. And before that, we were like talking and I cried in front of her and I was being honest, and I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That's what my dad taught me, right? But I guess she interpreted it as being insecure, and she broke up with me, and that really messed me up for a little while because it's like, well, now I know I can't show any kind of insecurity. So I don't like crying in front of women.
And see, this is why, and I wish there was a guy on here with me to really dig deep into what the guys are saying. But this right here and what he just said about he trusted somebody, and he, a woman, a young girl that he loved, and he opened up. He poured his emotions out to her. He cried. And she looked at him differently because of that. That's crazy. There's no way that a man should not be able to show his true emotions. A young man who's growing should not be able to show his true emotions. It's wrong. And this is why, and this is starting at as a teen. So now he bottles all his emotions up inside. So that right there is a recipe for disaster. That is one of the things that's happening now. And this is one of the things that I blame women on, and that's not allowing men to be wholeheartedly themselves in front of them. They want only one part of the man. And that's not how this works. So I feel like that's wrong. So let's continue.
Rather cry in front of some family that I trust, right?
That's interesting because I'd rather find a stranger on the street and tell them everything I'm going through because I will never see them again in my life. And I feel like they won't be able to judge me.
No
I'll
strings
never
attached.
see them.
I'd rather have a stranger think I'm strong and my family know all my problems, so it's interesting.
Feminism has gone too far.
In the feminism movement, there's so much of tearing down men or trying to put men back in their spot. But if the women want us men to step up, then I feel like it'd be a lot more productive instead of tearing down men and telling us all what we're doing wrong, than to, on the other hand, to build us up. I guess for the sake of keeping us accountable for our actions, and as men, we also need to step up.
Giving females more opportunities to certain things, I just think that's quite unfair, and it's like you got to put in the work, you got to put in the certain things to earn these things, and it's not like women are
granted less access to these jobs. I mean, I know there's plenty of women who are in business, who are doing good things for America. I just find it counterintuitive that this whole feminist movement is advocating for equal rights in certain things when they already have access to them.
I'm a feminist. I guess I believe in the equality of men and women. I think that when we talk about feminism, a lot of it boils down to employment. I think that the bringing down of men, you guys keep on saying bringing down men and shaming them, I think that is way overstated. I have never been shamed for my maleness.
I think, you know, if you look at any movement, there's definitely going to be like a radical portion of that movement. But at the same time, like I want to open up the question to you guys. Do any of you guys have personal experience where you feel you've been brought down, you know, like to bring a woman up?
A little bit like in high school. And it's not like the worst thing in the world. We have like an ASB my sophomore year, there was like happy thoughts, right? Like every Friday you just write something and you put it in the bin. It'll just be the girls and then some, you know, more of the feminine guys complimenting each other, which is not a problem, but as they're complimenting each other, oh, look at you, you're killing it, and then they'll even like insult me. It went from being happy thought to build up Women Day. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's a wall and we should.
Sorry, I was on mute. Have to get used to this because this new mic picks up everything. So I'm just trying to make sure that you don't hear any background interference while you're watching the video. But I apologize. So what I was saying was that the feminist movement. I'm not a feminist, even though I'm a single woman who, you know, makes her own way. I am an activist, so I fight for things that I feel can help the community and the world or whatever it may be. But I don't consider myself a feminist. Now, one of the things that the teen guy was saying about how they were in a group setting and there were some queer teen kids, I guess queer boys and uh, uh, young girls, and they were like giving each other props, and they would look at the guy and kind of like tear him down. That's one of the biggest problems right now in society, too. You don't have to tear down a heterosexual man because of who he is and what he likes. If you guys were in a group setting and y'all always supposed to give each other props or whatever it may be, what was wrong with you not reaching out to him and saying you strong or just showing anything that you know about him from going to school with him that was positive? This is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of these young men are, you know, deleting themselves, deleting other people. That's one of the reasons because they're repressed. They're not getting any emotional connection from people because, you know, they probably don't agree with a lot of the different changes that's happening in society. And everybody has a right to their opinion or to their belief or whatever it may be about that. So, moving on.
Break down that wall and focus on the
Yeah.
human race.
Yeah,
Not
yeah. Like
women, not men, not Mexicans, not this. We should all bring each other up.
I've been anxious about my penis size.
I really wish you was a guy in here.
I started watching pornography, I think around the age of 11 or 12.
And that's, that's a very impressionable, vulnerable place to be in. So of course, there's always these feelings about looking at your body.
Yeah, and I think the competition is probably what affects me the most part. It's the thing you're like, I know good and well there's dudes bigger than me, and she says it doesn't matter, but it still plays on my mental when I go to sleep at night.
Currently, I'm not really afraid of the size that I have because I am kind of becoming more confident in my body and the way that I am. I don't really feel like it's going to matter nearly as much when you're with someone for 10 years as you are for a one-night stand. So I am not personally that uncomfortable with my size.
Everything that you just said is true, and you just need to become confident in your own self by knowing what people really look for. But it's hard to get on Netflix and watch Euphoria and think these are grown-ass men playing high school people, and you think well, that's not what I look like. And then you think about every person that I have been with or will be with has probably seen this. I think that's really where that anxiety comes from. It's just the fact that other people probably have expectations.
I have questioned my sexuality.
I guess growing up, I was never one of the jocks of school. I always was into music, I was always into theater, and so growing up, I was always bullied because of that, because I was being too gay or whatever, and I always hung out with the girls. And so I definitely did kind of buy into what everyone else was saying, the peer pressure of saying, oh, you're gay, this is how you're gonna end up turning out because this is how you are now. With where I am now in my life, I've just kind of gotten to a place where I've grown to be confident. I know what my identity is.
People thinking that definitely it gets you thinking, It gets you thinking well, am I? Or should I be? It's should I be attracted to dudes because I like things that are quote unquote gay? But then I guess it just reveals the issue that we've made certain things gay and made certain things straight.
Yeah, right. Mine didn't stem from any kind of extra curricular activity. My stuff stemmed from porn, as I mentioned before. And when I started watching trans porn, and it's weird to say, but I got really nervous. I got really nervous because I thought maybe I'd be gay. And so I did my research on it, and I was kind of obsessed with trying to figure out what this could mean. And all the stuff I would look up was saying if you watch trans porn, you're still straight because they're women and stuff like that. But I'm thinking what would my family think? I've never sought out, and every time I talk to a trans woman in real life, there's no actual attraction there. So I'm still lost in the fact of what I actually am attracted to, but I guess I am still straight because they are women.
Quite frankly, right now I feel happy with my sexuality, and I feel that it's not wrong to question your sexuality. In terms of law in America, you're free to question whatever you want. You can question your religion, you can question your culture. It's just society is the things that constrains those certain things to be what's normal and what's wrong.
Yeah, I feel there's such a strong stigma to be straight, or strong more a pushing you into it, that even right now, I feel the desire to explain myself, even though we're anonymous right now. I feel I've never been with I've only been with actual cis women, but I know this no one is judging me. We're all here to be honest. But it's such a stigma that from the last 18 years of my life, that in this moment right now I feel embarrassed and ashamed for something that's just the way it is.
I'm scared of dying.
I think of it as I'm extremely scared of death. I mean, I watched my father die right before me. It's a scary thing. They just stop breathing. And just the idea of nothing is just extremely terrifying to me. It's you don't really know what's going on. Are you even thinking? Are you even there? You're just a blip out of just space.
It is terrifying. We don't know. And as a Christian, I want to pretend that I know that there's heaven and hell, but at the end of the day, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I think I always had the fear as a kid growing up that I'm gonna die and not fulfill what I wanted to do here on earth, right? But every time I thought about dying, it was as an old person. But 2 years ago, when I started working as a lifeguard, this lady and her friend came to the pool, and I have the music going and everything. She just starts having a seizure, and luckily, I did everything right, and EMS showed up, and she was safe. But then 2 weeks later, she unfortunately had another seizure while driving, and she died. And that's when I realized life is like, it can happen to anyone at any point. And if I just die and don't do anything with my life, then that's what I'm scared of.
I said that I don't fear death because unlike you guys, I don't really have an experience, so much hands-on experience with death.
Am I afraid of the fact that I will die someday? No. But I think, obviously the fact that it might come way sooner than you expect is a scary thought. But it's the one thing that makes life special. You know what I mean? It's the one thing I feel like that actually gives meaning to it. Because if you would never die, then you would never do anything. Because you would always have more time to do it.
Do you guys feel like you can actually be your genuine self when you're like talking to a girl or hanging out with a girl?
There's definitely a difference between like talking or opening up to like my friends that are girls versus like a girl that I'm interested in.
Like obviously if you're trying to impress a girl, you're gonna be dressed nicely, you're gonna wear some cologne, you're not gonna like fart around her, right? It's like it's a filter thing. But like when it comes to your mom, like your mom's a girl, and I wholeheartedly trust my mom. So I'm gonna be myself around the people I trust more.
I guess that's what it is. There's a lot of times I walk away with talking to a girl I'm really interested in, and I'm like, man, I didn't just go up and be me. And then my best friend, right? He used to be my best friend. He's kind of a womanizer, but I see him get so much success. And every time I've gotten success is doing things that he's done, which is just putting on a facade and telling them what they want to hear.
I think it's good to be yourself because, you can only put a mask on for so long.
It's refreshing to talk to people and realize that I'm not the only one who feels a certain way about things. It's nice, and it's a step in the right direction for me in becoming more comfortable with being open and honest with everybody.
I think just the whole open conversation, like this won't bite me in the end later, or like someone's not gonna listen to this and think, oh, that guy's bad. I have more safety of expressing my honest opinions, and whether those be good opinions or bad opinions, it's a better way to express one's true self without trying to be influenced by what high school is and all the people influencing you in high school, because frankly, high school is just popular culture, what people think is popular.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so guys, this was rough. It was rough, it was necessary, and it was real. And I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me and supporting me. Definitely a very new podcast. But it's going to get better. It's going to get, I'm going to have guests on. It's going to definitely become a success. I'm going to speak that into existence. The only way that it can truly be extremely successful is if you actually like and subscribe. So I am definitely asking anybody that is out there that has watched for the first time, please subscribe, put that notification on. You won't be disappointed in the future. This pretty much wraps up the Teen Takeover segment. We discussed a lot of different topics for 4 episodes, and this one was, to me, the more in-depth topic when it came to allowing these kids to speak and tell their stories. And be transparent. So, if you have any questions or like any comments, please leave them and I'll definitely respond. But once again, I know it's late. I'm here on the West Coast. I got a lot of East Coast people following me and a lot of Midwest people that show me a lot of love on Facebook. So, guys, whenever you watch this, please leave something in the comments. This was a deep discussion. And I'm hoping that some of the people with teens actually kind of listen to these stories, because one thing I can say is a lot of parents never, I'm not going to say all, just some, never think it could be their child, or never think that their child would think such things. You don't know what goes on in the mind of your child. Even if they're an honor roll student, even if they are excelling to the highest capacity, there's there's more stress because they got to juggle so many responsibilities. So start talking to your children if you don't already. Have strong communication with your child, but don't be like the best friend, the home girl or the homeboy. They need to still have some type of reverence and respect for you when you lay down the law, you know? And everybody's probably like, girl, you don't even have no kids. It's okay. Listen, I babysat all my cousins, even though they grown. So I have a little experience, but I am very observant, and I look at everybody around me as well. So I take and absorb that. And I am part of a village. I am, they say it takes a village to raise a child. I'm part of that village. All right. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm about to have a field day as I play with let me change my voice again.
As I play
with some of my buttons.
Thank you so much once again. You guys have a good night. Love y'all. Bye.
Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? Why? Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that.